What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Crush City Territory. I'm Chandler Rome along with Tyler Stafford, and we are here to give you a play by play breakdown of the Astros' loss to the Chicago White Sox on Tuesday night. Tyler, would you like to start with the first inning or should I?
Uh, I would like to skip that entirely and instead ask you a different question. Does the word colic mean anything to you?
Colic, like the disease infants get?
I'm
Does
so look at you. All right. There you go. I didn't think that you would know what that is. I assumed that every parent listening just shuddered. Uh my first two kids were super chill. Uh Camden is struggling. And colic is just a catch all diagnosis for, hey, this baby cries a lot and we don't know why. Um, but let me tell you, that baby cries a lot. And so, anyway, the tie into that was watching Tuesday night Lance McCullers 90 pitch 4 inning start against the White Sox. Felt a whole lot like colic to me. So that's where I've been at in my life.
Yeah, it was uninspiring to say the least. The
Mm-hmm.
entire evening was pretty uninspiring. The Astros loaded the bases with no outs in the eighth inning against a reliever I had never heard of, and they scored one run.
Mm-hmm.
42 of Christian Walker's 73 strikeouts this year have been with runners on base, which is a problem. The Astros desperately need an injection into their lineup. They need to inject some life, some energy. Jordan Alvarez can help that, but the other thing that could help that is the trade deadline that
Mm-hmm.
is looming in 7 weeks. And as the calendar turns to June, the entire industry does start to speculate on the trade deadline, how it may look, what teams are going to be buyers, sellers, who's on the block, things of that nature. So we'll talk a little bit today, a way too early trade deadline assessment of where the Astros are. And I say way too early, and I'm going to underline that 15 times in bold. The trade deadline is in 7 weeks. You can probably start to put in your head the teams that you know are going to be sellers: the Marlins, the White Sox, the team you're watching right now, the Rockies. Other than that, like, there's a lot of teams that are still in the middle right now, to where these 7 weeks, we could add more buyers to the list. We could add more sellers to the list. It is foolish right now to start targeting specific names to say, like, the Astros need to go after this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy. You don't know who's going to be on the block in 4 weeks, much less 7 weeks. So I think right now the prudent thing to do is to just look at what this team needs. What do the Astros need at the deadline? And Tyler, it's pretty obvious. Their two biggest needs: they need a left-handed bat and they need a starting pitcher. And wrote something on the Athletic that went live this morning, Wednesday morning, kind of giving a little bit of a primer as to what the Astros are going to navigate across the next 7 weeks. Talking to people within the organization, people that would know, sounds like right now they're still kind of on the fence as to what their priority is. Is the priority a left-handed bat? Is the priority a starting pitcher? I think a lot of it hinges on the health of Luis Garcia, Christian Javier, JP France, and Spencer Arrighetti. If they are confident those guys can come back and pitch meaningful innings and be effective, I think they'll be very offensive centric at the deadline. However, if those guys aren't going to come back and be healthy and be effective, they're going to really have to be in the market for a pitcher. Tyler, as you look at this team, where would your priority? What would your priority be if you were Dana Brown? If you were the baseball in the baseball ops department, what would your priority be to add to this team?
Starting pitching,
Mm-hmm.
100%. I mean, I know they need a left-handed bat. You're gonna have an aneurysm if you have to say that again. But they have two and a half starting pitchers. They've got Hunter Brown, they've got Fromber, they've got half of Lance McCullers, and then just a collection of people who may be good and who may not on any given day. Um, that's not a roulette wheel I want to spin for the next, you know, 90 games of the season, especially when, as we've talked about, in the playoffs, you only need three, four starters, and the Astros have top end talent, but to get through a season, you need six or seven solid, options at any given moment. Um, And the Astros just don't have that. And the season is way too long and the division is going to be way too close to not have reliable starting pitching from here on out. They have to go get, as I've said throughout the show, they have to just get an adult starting pitcher. They don't even have to be good. They have to be 32 years old with 1500 innings in their arm, and they can go 5 or 6 innings every fifth day. Like, that's bare minimum what they need.
Which, to be fair, is what they got last year. Like we
Mm-hmm.
were having the same, we didn't have this podcast last year, but in our collective minds, we were having the same discussion last year. The parallels between last year's trade deadline and this one are pretty stark, right? Like from the Astros perspective, like the lineup last year was missing Kyle Tucker for an extended period of time, one of their best hitters. Offense was not thriving without him, but still winning games and staying afloat. And the rotation was just a mess due to injuries. This year, the exact same thing. The rotation's a mess due to injuries. Yordan Alvarez has been nowhere to be found for 2 months, and they're still somehow staying afloat and winning games. And we were having this same conversation. Man, they just need like a 3 or a 4 starter, like a guy to just eat innings and get them and to help bridge them to the playoffs. And they got that in Yusei Kikuchi, who I don't think the collective fan base thought would take that much prospect capital to acquire. But he came over and the Astros did what they do with pitchers, and he was incredible. And if they would have gone to game 3 of the wild card series, he would have started it and he would have maybe pitched them into the ALDS. Who knows? But so it's the exact same conversation we were having last year. Do you see any? We just talked about the parallels. Like, what is different about this team, maybe offensively, that you think should maybe push them to search more, to search for a left-handed bat, maybe more than they did last year?
Yeah, they're also missing Kyle Tucker this year. I don't know
Yes.
if you've noticed, he hasn't played a lot for the Astros in 2025. Um, I mean, the difference is you're very, very confident in Fromber and Hunter Brown. Last year, you didn't start to get confident in Hunter Brown until, towards the end of the season, when it wasn't just a fluke. It was, okay, this is happening every time. Altuve was a lot better last
Mhm.
year. You could rely on him a lot more. Yiner was obviously a lot better. And so there's just more holes in the line. There's just not as much length in the lineup right now. Um, I mean, Jake Myers is hitting like fifth or sixth. And look, no disrespect to Jake Myers. That is not a 5 or 6 hole hitter. And he's hitting there because he's been better than most of the other people in the lineup. Like, that's why he's hitting there. And he deserves to hit there right now. But that's not a lineup that you want to have over the course of the year. I think the difference is there aren't as many clear positions that you can upgrade, because the
Right.
guys who are struggling are guys that you can't replace. I mean, I don't care what the fan base thinks. Like, you're not gonna get somebody to replace Christian Walker. He's your first baseman. Like, he's not going anywhere. They're paying him $20 million a year. The Astros are not going to trade for somebody at first base. Yiner's not going anywhere either. They can continue to do some platooning with him and Caratini, but the two main holes there are not ones that you can go out and replace. And then at second base, which is their other biggest hole, is just not an offensive position. Like, there
Right.
just aren't a lot of guys that you're going to go out and get that are meaningful lineup changing upgrades at the second base position. But again, if you can get a guy with a 105 OPS, OPS plus,
Mhm.
good Lord, not OPS. But if you can get a 105 OPS plus out of your second baseman for 4 months, that's hitting sixth or seventh and can help turn the lineup over. It makes your team a lot better, especially in October, where, everybody's getting your best stuff all the time. It's going to highlight the need for the length of a lineup. Um, but yeah, I mean, gosh, it's funny looking back how people freaked out over Kikuchi and like you said, the prospect capital that they had to give up. If you could guarantee me the Astros could get the same production out of a trade acquisition, as you say, Kikuchi, I would take that in a heartbeat. That would be so helpful for this team right now.
I mean, if you want a guy with a 105 OPS, Jose Abreu is still on the payroll. You could
Hey,
just get him back, platoon him. I'm sure he'd love to. He's not doing much.
did Yuli get DFA'd yet? Surely
He
he's
did.
available.
He did.
Okay.
Yeah. The Padres DFA'd him, and I don't
Yeah.
think he's caught on anywhere.
Triple platoon.
Less expensive option. Speaking of expensive, the luxury tax is going to come into play here. Everything the Astros did this winter, from trading Ryan Presley to trading Kyle Tucker, even what they did during the season with offloading some of Rafael Montero's salary to the Braves, demonstrated that they are pretty dead set on staying under the luxury tax. Depending on which outside approximation you look at, they're around $1.7 to $3.1 million under the luxury tax right now. Now, Jim Crane is known, if they get to the deadline and he sees that there is a realistic chance to win, which I think as of this recording on June 11th, the Astros have a realistic chance to win the American League pennant. This is a wide open American League. There is no team that you look at and you say that team is demonstrably better than the Astros and they have no chance. Now, we're saying this on June 11th. A lot of things can change. Jim Crane's also a guy that when he sees that realistic chance, he also is not going to go over the CBT for a marginal upgrade. For a guy like we were just talking about that, like, hey, a 105 OPS plus that can hit sixth over Jake Myers in the lineup. Like, if he's going to do this, his precedent and his past suggests that it's going to be something bigger than that. It's going to, like, he went over the luxury tax for the first time in his ownership tenure to go get Zach Greinke. When he saw, he went over the luxury tax for the second time in his ownership tenure by signing Josh Hader. These are not like, hey, let's go get Caleb Ferguson, or let's go get who was the lefty that they got in the World Series season? Francisco Liriano. Let's go get Francisco Liriano.
Game 7 out getter Francisco Liriano. Thank you very much.
Right. It would have to be a game changer, I believe, for them to really just blow past the luxury tax for the second time. Which leads me to think that because of the maneuvering they're going to have to do with the payroll, if they're going to stay under the luxury tax, the Astros are going to have to trade from their major league roster. And we'll talk about some of those candidates who could be going off of the major league roster right after this message from our friends at Foul Territory.
Kratz, you look different today. Do I see Chubby's shorts on your shoulder?
Oh, the sick design. I mean, don't even get it twisted too, because the lining normally is like an SOS pad. This lining that's in the center is so soft, so smooth. The outside, so many things to choose from on chubbyshorts.com.
Facts. And the code FOUL for 20% off. I got the Tiger Sharks.
Ooh-wee.
A little blend of a tiger and a shark. It's beautiful. So don't wait. For a very limited time, shop Chubby's biggest sale of the year, $45 shorts and up to 65% off select gear. Hit up chubbyshorts.com and grab your favorites before they're gone. If you missed the sale, then use the FT code, FOUL in lowercase for 20% off. Support FT, let them know we sent you when the survey asks, and get ready to turn some heads. Summer's here. Dress like it in Chubby's.
Chubby's, what a product.
Mm-hmm.
Love them. So we just talked about the Astros' propensity to stay under the CBT, and everything that they have done leading up to the deadline suggests that they do have a mandate to stay under the CBT. Jim Crane was asked that on opening day, whether that is a mandate. He did not say yes or no, just said that's not something that they ever, really determines their thinking, but actions speak louder than words sometimes. So if they do have to be careful with the payroll, because of the way their farm system is set up, it's not very good. Like, they don't have many prospects to trade. It stands to reason they're going to have to move some money off of the major league roster. And there aren't a ton of just obvious candidates, but I think the one thing to monitor over the next few weeks, Tyler, Jacob Melton has started 7 of the first 8 games since he's been up in the big leagues. Joe Espada acknowledged on Tuesday that he's going to get a pretty long look, while Jordan Alvarez remains out, while Chas McCormick remains out, while Zach DeZenzo remains out. If Jacob Melton in the next 2 to 3 weeks shows that he is capable of an everyday roster spot, of a guy that they can play every day in the outfield, if he demonstrates that, I think Jake Myers becomes pretty expendable. And Jake Myers, his value has never been higher. We just kind of were tongue in cheek in the last segment about Jake Myers isn't a 5 or a 6 hole hitter. Well, he has been this year. His statistics prove that. He is having an excellent season. He is having a breakout offensive season. The defense has always been there. The speed's always been there. His value has never been higher. And he's making $2.4 million this year, and he's under team control for the next 2 years. Absent them trading Framber Valdez, which I guess we'll have to get to at some point. That's not happening. Jake Myers may be their most attractive trade chip, but that's only if Jacob Melton proves in the next 2 or 3 weeks that he deserves an everyday role on a team that wants to contend.
So who's the center fielder then?
Jacob Melton.
Okay.
Like,
I mean, he's been good.
Yeah.
I'm with you, but I mean, it draws a lot of parallels to Miles Straw
Right.
a few years ago of trading your starting center fielder. And I mean, again, that one really hurt at the time, but Phil Maton played a huge role for those Astros teams. And then obviously getting Yainer Diaz for Miles Straw, despite the struggles that Yainer started the year with. And I know we've talked about it, but since like April 25th or whatever, he's essentially hitting his career at, like he's been a good hitter since a disastrous start. So I mean, again, those trades hurt, but that trade worked out really well for the Astros. And like you said, they don't have the prospect capital to get a lot, and they have a logjam of guys at the big league level. And if you're adding someone at the trade deadline to help your big league roster, you're gonna have to move people anyway. And I can already hear people saying, well, why don't you trade Chas McCormick? Because you don't want Chas McCormick. So other teams don't either. Again, no disrespect to Chas McCormick. Coolest catch ever in the World Series. Do whatever you want. Good player, but his value is tanked. Like no one is taking Chas McCormick. It would have to be Jake Myers, or Zach DeZenzo, or even Melton, somebody like that, where it's like somebody with a lot of control that's shown some talent, but not somebody that you're going to build around. The Astros aren't going to trade prospects that they really care about for the next 5 or 6 years. And I mean, as much as it hurt, even seeing Joey Loperfido last year be traded, like he's bounced up and down between AAA and the major leagues. That's just what happens with these guys. And sometimes you have to make moves that hurt to help the team. And right now, what helps the team most is starting pitching and, some sort of left-handed batter. And you can't find that internally. You're going to have to go get it from somewhere else. And it's going to cost. It's going to hurt. There are a lot of teams in it this year. There's not a lot, like you said, that are just tanked. And the teams that are bad, I don't know if you looked at the Colorado Rockies roster. Not a lot of picking over that roster for other teams to go and find a lot of people there. So the teams that are going to be out of it and are going to be sellers at the deadline are going to have a ton of buyers, and it's going to cost. It just is.
You're telling me that the 12-53 Rockies don't have a ton of players that you would covet very quickly to add onto this Astros team?
Legally, they are a baseball team, and that is about the nicest thing I can say about the Rockies. Great fireworks show. You been there for a Friday night fireworks game?
The last time I went to Coors Field, it was a blizzard. Like they played through a driving snow. It was
Okay.
absurd. That was the last time I went to Coors Field.
I was there for Urquidy's first big league start on the road at Coors, and the entire game, everyone around us was like, "Can't wait for the fireworks show! Can't wait for the fire!" And I was like, "What are you goobers talking about? Like everybody has fireworks show. Look, hand up, that fireworks show ruled. The fans get to come down on the field, which is really cool, and there's mountains in the background, so." Anyway, maybe you could trade for the fireworks show. That's about what I would want from the Rockies at this point.
To be fair, and let me reiterate this. I am not saying that Jake Myers is on the trade block as we are currently speaking. This is contingent on Jacob Melton. He's going to get a runway here for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Like if he comes up and he plays well, he solves one problem because he hits left-handed. So maybe then that lessens the urgency to go find a left-handed bat. You still would like to get another one just to have, but it lessens the urgency to go out and get it. But if Jacob Melton falls on his face across the next 3 weeks, then you can't. Like you're in the same position you were 2 weeks ago before Melton came up. Chas McCormick is always been attractive to other teams. Like other teams have called about Chas McCormick before he broke out in 2023, before the World Series catch. Chas McCormick, because of his style and the way he goes the other way a ton, his power is the other way. He is a guy that has attracted a lot of interest from other teams in the American League and the National League. I think that would continue. You did say his value has never been lower than it is right now. So you would be selling low on Chas McCormick, who we should note is making $3.4 million this year. So he is a guy that if you're looking to take some money off to incur some payroll, that would be a guy that stands out as someone that you may want. And look, it is becoming clear. You just said like the Astros aren't playing him. He doesn't really have a role on this team. Like he is the most logical like change of scenery trade candidate that they have.
And that was before Melton came up and DeZenzo and Cam Smith both proved that they were big league caliber players. Like even coming into the season, it was like, where are you going to play Chas McCormick? So, like we said, you're gonna have to, if you're acquiring anybody, you're gonna have to trade Myers or McCormick this year. Somebody's got to go just to clear space.
And I know that there will be a segment of the fan base that does not love to hear this, but Mauricio Dubon making $5 million as the utility guy. I know he's basically been the everyday second baseman for the last few weeks, but the Astros, I think, hope that they can address that at the deadline. Or if Bryce Matthews keeps playing well at AAA, maybe you bring him up and see what he can do. But Mauricio Dubon's making $5 million. He's got one more year of team control. He's got a lot of value too. I think when you start talking about guys off the major league roster that could go, Dubon is probably up there as one of the more attractive candidates that they have. You look on the pitching side, I don't know if they can afford, like, I know they've got a lot of names. They've got a lot of names that you're like, hey, like you could part with this guy. This like at this point where they are with their injuries and how much they are weighing on those 4 guys to come back, I don't think they can afford to trade from their major league pitching staff at this point.
No. And they don't have any pitching prospects of note that would be helpful. And I mean, you're right. There's not a lot of room there. What would they do with the HEB commercial if they trade Dubon?
I mean, that HEB commercial's hanging on by a thread. It's Altuve and Pena and Orbit. Like
we need to get him on here. When Doobie gets on here, we're gonna spend 45 minutes just talking about the filming of that commercial. I have a lot of questions.
I feel like Hunter Brown's like the logical next HEB
for
person,
sure.
right? He's makes too much sense for him to.
Although it is the Madden curse of the Astros franchise, you almost don't want your guys to be in the HEB commercial. It's been a sore subject, but it's working out for Pena, not Pena.
So you see, I don't get to watch the HEB because I don't watch
it.
I don't have cable. I don't have
it.
cable, and I don't watch the broadcast. Obviously, when I'm at the ballpark on the road, like I don't watch the broadcast. So I've seen the Pena one. I've seen that one. I haven't really seen many others. Like, are they good this year? Like, how did Dubon do?
No.
Is he a good actor?
The Dubon's good. Dubon is funny. Like you can tell he knows what he's doing. The one that they played at the beginning of the year that they've stopped, they started doing teaching Orbit to talk. But at the beginning of the year, they did this weird, like parody version of Take Me Out to the Ball Game, but it was about like getting food at HEB. And Jose Altuve can do a lot of things. He cannot sing. That thing was auto-tuned like crazy, and it was rough. So I can see why they stopped playing that one and went with Pena, no Pena. But truly, that's on probably 4 times a game. So if you're watching the game at home, like I do, I have that commercial memorized. I could do it beat for beat. There are a few other ones like that too. Listen on the radio. There's like 8 commercials that they play over and over again. Uh, the one that is driving me crazy right now is, guys, by now you've heard me talk about Collars and Co. And it's some golf polo shirt, and it doesn't wrinkle. And I've heard that.
Shut up. We can't advertise people that don't pay us. Don't give them the satisfaction.
I don't know that it was. I mean, that was a good ad read, but that's the other one that I've got just down.
My 2 favorite HEB commercial fan outrage things were out. So for full disclosure, they film these. I believe most of the past, it has been on one of the off days in spring training.
Okay.
So whoever the 4 guys are will go on the off day and one off day in spring training, and they will just film them all that day. The year that Altuve broke his thumb in the WBC, they hadn't filmed them yet. So he filmed those HEB commercials with a cast on. And I think you can see, and at least one of them, he is holding his right hand behind his back the whole time. They did a very good job of not having his hands or not making him use his hands in the commercial, so you couldn't really see it. But there is one that I saw. You can see him very clearly, like holding his hand behind his back so the cast is not seen. And then the other one was one of the years McCullers started the year on the IL. Like all the fans lost their mind when like the first homestand of the season, all the HEB commercials come out, and it was one of them.
Why weren't you getting ready for the season instead of filming these?
It was one of them when I think it was him and Pena, and like he held Pena up in like a dance scene or something, and everyone was like, "Oh, his elbow's in 10 pieces, but he can hold Pena up in an HEB commercial." And it's like, guys, they do it in spring training, they do it on an off day. These were filmed like 2 months ago. Like, chill out.
When the Red Sox are in town, can you ask Bregman if he'll come on if we promise to only talk about the HEB commercial for like 10 minutes?
I think he'd like that.
Okay.
I think he would enjoy that. The Astros probably aren't going to trade for Alex Bregman. If Justin Verlander's available, who knows? Jim Crane, if he gets back. If Jim Crane gets his way, then who knows? It could happen. But Tyler, I know you've got a list of players that you looked up that you would like to see in Astros uniforms. We can talk about a few of them when we come back after this message from our friends from Foul Territory. I'll probably yell at you and say it's too early and this is too much pipe dream. But this is what the people want. They want to know who they're going to trade for, and I guess I'll try to douse the speculation. But we'll talk about some possible trade candidates right after a message from our friends at Foul Territory.
If you're one of those on-the-go people or you're skipping meals but you don't want to, there's got to be a quicker solution. We've got one for you. It's called Huel. I'm going to take a swig. Cheers to Huel. This is the Black Edition, plant-based as well. Good for me. But what do you like about it?
I like the nutrition of it, and the replacement meal is great for me. Someone always on the go. Like, man, I can just grab one of these out of my fridge, lunch, breakfast, whatever it takes. Whatever meal I'm not going to have time to eat, it fills me up. And it tastes great. You know why? Because it tastes like milkshake, ice cream, whatever you want to call it, whatever flavor you get is delicious.
35 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, 27 vitamins and minerals, low sugar. You can get yourself 15% off plus a free gift for new customers using the exclusive FT code FOUL, F-O-U-L, at Huel.com/FOUL. Please see our description for terms and conditions. Skip the stress, not the nutrition. Try Huel today for complete nutrition, bottled.
All right, Tyler, you deserve hazard pay for looking at the Marlins and the Rockies and whoever the hell else are the sellers. Give me some names that you have come up with, and we can let's do like 3 or 4. We don't want to sit here and go through 25 names, but give me 3 or 4 names that you have come up with that you think would be actual reasonable targets, and we can talk about why they may not be.
Okay, so you're right. I just went to the standings, picked all the bad teams. I'm going to start with a couple of guys that are contingent on Jacob Melton not being the answer. So the Astros still needing a left-handed hitting outfielder. There's a few guys that, are free agents after this year on struggling teams. First one is a guy that I've wanted on the Astros forever, and that's Cedric Mullins of the Orioles. He's having a down year, but I don't care. Cedric Mullins is good. He's a left-handed hitting outfielder. can play center field. So if you're trading away Myers or McCormick, plus Michael Elias would love to dig through the Astros system again. It would be like a treat for him. So that's one. Another guy in that same vein is Brian Reynolds on the Pirates. Again, another guy. Oh, actually, never mind. I looked him up and then I selected him away because I forgot that the Pirates signed
Yeah,
him
they gave
to
him,
a
they gave him a huge extension.
mega extension.
That's not happening.
Yes, I forgot about that. I clicked him off. So Cedric Mullins, like I said, wanted him on the Astros for a long time. That's again, if Melton is not the answer. Another one from a bad team that's a left-handed hitting outfielder that Astros fans may be aware of is Andrew Benintendi. Again, signed a longer deal with the White Sox, but he's not that good. He's not worth $15 million a year. So that's one that you could potentially acquire for not having to give up a lot. All it takes is Jim Crane opening up the pocketbook, which is easy for me to suggest. Just do that instead. Another guy that I think the Astros should trade for just so he doesn't have to face the Astros anymore is Luis Robert. That dude. So watching this was a fun stat here. I'm going to pull it up. So watching the Astros last night, Luis Robert, in my opinion, is better than Mike Trout and Aaron Judge in games that I'm watching. And I was curious, so I went and looked it up. Are you familiar with the stat T OPS plus?
No.
Okay, so OPS plus is obviously 100 is average, above is better, below is worse. So T OPS plus essentially grades a player's OPS plus against themselves relative to the different teams that they play. So their average, no matter what type of hitter they are, is 100. And then if they hit better against a team, their TOPS plus would be 110, 120, whatever. If they hit worse, it'd be below. So I was curious and I went and looked it up because I was like, Aaron Judge is terrible. I've never seen him be good once in my life. I know he's incredible. I've never watched him be good. Sure enough, his TOPS plus, so relative to his average hitting, is 43. So he is awful against the Astros. He is slashing 198, 308, 419 against the Astros. Mike Trout, 78. So again, way below his average against the Astros. Luis Roberts, TOPS plus against the Astros is 195. He's hitting 375, 405, 750 against the Astros. So go get him just so I don't have to watch him destroy the Astros anymore. And then on the pitching side, there's a few more options. There's a lot of guys this year who are older, adult starting pitchers on bad teams with contracts expiring this year. I think there's a lot that you could go get. Some are reclamation projects like Sandy Alcantara from the Marlins. He has 1 year left of team control, but he has a 7.14 ERA right now.
You say Kikuchi had like an 80 ERA when they got him last year. So
great. I mean, and he was out all of last year. I mean, he's only and even the year before in 2023 when he pitched, he had a 4+ ERA. So, he hasn't been anywhere near the level that he was in 2021, 2022, but definitely a guy the Astros could go get on the higher end. Now, my ideal higher end starter is a guy on a team that is still, it's still too early to give up on. But the Braves are bad this year, weirdly. They have all the same players because they've signed them all to 14-year contracts. So the entire Braves team is going to be together until the sun explodes, except for one guy, and that's Chris Sale. Chris Sale is making $19 million this year. He's a free agent at the end of this year. He does have a club option, so obviously it would cost even more. But the Braves love young, controllable pieces. So the Astros have a lot of guys like that where you could conceive of a way that they could acquire him. I know that's not going to happen, but that is what I would love. And then there's just a ton of like, look, this guy can pitch. He's not going to cost me. Cal Quantrill from the Marlins is another guy that's a free agent after this season. Not going to cost a lot. The White Sox also have Astros legend Adrian Hauser on the team. You could go get him. He's a free agent after this year. The Royals have Texas A&M legend Michael Wacha. You could go get him. He did sign a longer deal, but the Royals are bad.
The Royals are good.
No, you're wrong. It's the uniforms. I don't believe them until they prove it to me. I agree.
It'd be hard for the Royals to trade to an American League, especially when like they're probably going to make the playoffs. Like it'd be hard to trade Michael Wacha to the Astros to like. Well, maybe that would be your demise if the Astros beat you for the last wild card spot or something.
People wanted us to argue, so this is me arguing with you. You're a dummy. They're going to go get him. Change up merchant Michael Wacha. The Pirates are bad. I don't know if you've heard. They don't have a lot that you can trade for other than the one guy that everyone would want to trade for. And hot take, if they trade Paul Skeens, I think the team should have to be sold. I think if you trade Paul Skeens, that is a white flag that says you're no longer a major league owner. But they do have a guy like Bailey Falter who still has a lot of team control left, but is a valuable trade piece. So if the Pirates are looking to build around Paul Skeens and want to get guys like Jacob Melton, Jake Myers, and maybe some other younger arms around him, certainly somebody that they could look to move. They also have Andrew Heaney.
Andrew Heaney is the guy that
0% chance that he stays on the Pirates.
Andrew, if you're looking at the Pirates, Andrew Heaney's probably the guy that I would circle. Left-handed. I mean, left-handed, like the exact kind of archetype that they need. Just a guy that veteran will take the ball every 5 days. Will get you into the sixth inning. Some days he'll give up a bunch of runs. Some days he'll be good. Like he's pitched well for the Pirates this year, and he's making like $5 million on a 1-year deal. So he wouldn't cost you a lot. Can I interest you? And everyone, please go look up what he's done lately. I know he was awful to start the year, but Charlie Morton's been pretty good for the Orioles lately.
Bring him back. Give me ground chuck. I'll take it.
His last 25 or so innings has an ERA around 4. Is on. He signed a $15 million deal, so it's going to be a little expensive the back end of what's left on that deal. But again, Heaney's probably the more cost conscious and better option. But like that's what you're looking at. You're looking for like a rental that can get you into the sixth inning every fifth night. And I think Heaney probably gives you more confidence he can do that than Morton, but don't be surprised if Charlie Morton's out there. And I think the Orioles would surely entertain trading him. Maybe that's where they look. I think to go back to where you started, Mullins makes a lot of sense. And not only because he's a left-handed hitter, but there is a parallel to a deal like this happening with this team. It didn't come in Dana Brown's regime. It came when James Click was here. Cedric Mullins, for those that don't follow the Orioles intently, Cedric Mullins is a lifer there. Like he was there when they were awful. He survived the awful rebuild, got to when they were really good, and now he's kind of on the tail end. The Astros traded for someone very similar to that from the Orioles a couple years ago in Trey Mancini. It was literally like it was a situation where Mancini came in here. He wasn't going to play every day, but they needed someone to give them another option in the lineup. And he played a little bit of first. He played a little bit of left field with the Crawford boxes. He DH'd. Mullins would probably come in here again, presuming that the outfield remains as it's constructed with Altuve in left, Myers in center, Smith in right, Melton somewhere in there, DeCenzo somewhere in there. Mullins would probably come in here, probably wouldn't play every day. They probably try to face him against some right-handed pitching that he'd be good against. He's be a great defensive replacement late in games. They got to pull Altuve out in close games. That one to me, you can see the parallels there between what the Astros did with Trey Mancini from the Orioles and what the Astros could do maybe with Cedric Mullins with the Orioles. But the reason it's kind of foolish to start throwing names out. Like, yeah, I think Mullins is certainly a guy they're going to entertain trading no matter what. But like, the Orioles have played better in recent weeks. Like, do they look at this season as, man, we started terribly, but the infrastructure's still there. We're still pretty good. Like, let's just stand pat, finish this season out, and go spend a bunch of money next offseason and get better. Now, the reason that wouldn't work in this situation is because Mullins is a free agent to be. Now, whether they would
Also, they could have spent a whole bunch of money to get better this offseason, and they didn't.
maybe this is like the lesson that they needed. That
Yeah.
yes, you do have to go spend on a rotation to survive in the big leagues.
How about Christian Walker for Josh Naylor straight up? Just trade Walker back to the Diamondbacks, take his replacement. He's been
The
crushing
D-backs
it
are
over there.
fascinating because they've got a lot of that's a fascinating team that you could start to pick over because they
Zach
have
Gallen.
They have not played well. They've played okay. They've been disappointing. That's a brutal division that they're in. And do they get to the deadline and do they really think they can challenge for a wild card spot in the National League? I'm not sure. That's why doing this now is a little bit dumb, but we need the clicks and we need the views, so we're doing it. But because like you don't know what the Diamondbacks still want to play this out for another month. Like the Orioles, to a lesser extent, still want to play this out for another month. Like the Red Sox have been a colossal disappointment. Like if they stink for the next month, then like who knows where they end up? Like
Go get Bregman.
Sure, he still may be hurt by then. But like again, it's one of these things. Like, and to be completely honest, like I know we haven't brought up Fromber yet, but I don't expect this to happen. But if the Astros go on a nosedive the next 6 weeks and they're 5 under 500 at the deadline, then you have to make Fromber available. Like you have to. So there is so much that can change in the next 7 weeks. I don't think the Astros are going to free fall. I don't think Fromber Valdez is getting traded. The only way that Fromber Valdez would get traded is if a free fall happens, which I don't envision. The Astros, their needs are going to be the same no matter what happens across the next 6 weeks. Like they've been a bat short since they broke camp in spring training. We talked about that. And it just, because Alvarez has gotten hurt and Yiner and Christian Walker have underperformed, it's just exacerbated the fact they've needed another bat since March, and now they probably need two.
Is there a rule preventing you from trading for someone before the deadline and then trading them again the same year?
I mean, no.
That's why I don't understand why teams don't make these trades in May or June. Like, go get a starting pitcher now, give up whatever you need to, and then if you're, like you said, if the Astros do tank, just trade them again. Go get the similar return back that you just gave up. I've never understood why they don't just start doing it now. Like it's not like,
well, the thing that became in vogue, the Angels did it when they were trying to make the run with Ohtani. They traded for like Randall Grichuk and all these guys like right at the deadline. And then they played like crap for the next 3 weeks and were out of it. And they put all those guys on waivers. Giolito was on there. Like they put all of them on waivers like the day before they had to be in another team to be playoff eligible and so they could get the money off the books for the CBT. So that's the closest thing. Like you still function with the deadline, but like, let's say the Astros, like if they really are worried about the CBT, if they go out the deadline and do what they do and then they play like crap in August, it's like, well, we could put all these guys on waivers, get their money off the books, and they don't have to pay the taxes. That's the closest thing. But the reason teams don't make trades early is because like, A, they're trying to figure out who they are, and B, like we just have talked about this for 40 minutes. Like the bona fide sellers are so few and far between that the asking prices are astronomical, pardon the pun, for like the few guys that you know are available. So deadlines drive decisions. And as you get closer to the deadline and the supply is still there, like the ask is inherently going to go down. So that's why it doesn't happen. But the waiver thing is a loophole that they've found the last couple of years that who knows, could be in play again this deadline. Maybe for the next couple of days, you can watch the White Sox and dream about Andrew Benintendi being in the outfield. You can dream about whatever no-name reliever came in and closed them out last night. The White Sox are one of the few sellers that you can look at definitively and say, you want to pick over their team. But in the next 7 weeks, I think more of those will manifest, and the Astros will be able to really ascertain kind of who is out there, who is feasible for them to get. And I think the big fulcrum in all this, where are JP France and Luis Garcia, Christian Javier, Spencer Arrighetti? When they have a better answer for that, then they'll have a better answer for what they're going to go after at the deadline. But we tried to answer a couple questions today about what they could need early. You can follow me on X at Chandler_Rome. You can follow Tyler at Tyler C. Stafford. We'll be back with Josh Reddick tomorrow to talk about trades and Jordan Alvarez and John Boy getting bought by MLB. Josh has some real thoughts on that, shockingly. So we'll talk about all that coming up. As always, guys, please like us. Please rate and review us on Apple. Please like us. Yes, that would help. Please rate and review us on Apple and Spotify. Please subscribe on YouTube and like the videos and us on YouTube so you can spread the word and know when we post another video. So we'll be back soon to talk to you guys. Enjoy the games, and thanks for listening.
Bye.